Hi everyone, my name is Tori, this is Novel Life, and welcome back to my channel. Today I have my February TBR to share with you. So in February, I have made it a priority to mood read a little bit more. I want to tailor my TBRs to exactly what I want to read and not just putting books on there that I should be reading, as in like, you know, just different things. I don't know if that makes sense. But in January, I put a lot of books on my TBR, and I did read most of those, and I'm happy that I read most of those. But there was just like maybe 4 or 5 books that I just did not want to read, even though I put them on my January TBR, and I tried to read some of them, and it just didn't work out. Like, I wasn't in the mood to read it. So it's like, why am I going to read something that I really am not in the mood to read? You know? Anyway, so I decided to cut back my TBR. I have 14 books on my TBR, and this is a mix of contemporaries, read-alongs, and fantasy romances. So in February, there is something called Pharaoh Feb, which is Fantasy Romance February. There's an Instagram profile for it. I think it started back in 2020 or 2021, and I kind of participated in both, I think the last 2 years since I've been on BookTube, and I really enjoyed it. It just gives me this excuse to read a lot of fantasy romances, get caught up with a lot of fantasy romances that I kind of been putting off. So I have a couple fantasy romances to talk about. I have a couple read-alongs that are going on, but I'm going to start with my cover-to-cover book club pick that I run with Sam from Sam Reads Little. We chose Powerless by Elsie Silver to read for February. So our live shows are usually on the 27th of every month. So in February, it'll be February 27th, either 7 p.m. EST or 8 p.m. EST. We usually go back and forth depending on when we're available, but we decided to pick Powerless because it comes out February 10th, and Elsie Silver has said it's going to be in Kindle Unlimited, and the audio is probably going to drop around the same time. She has the audio file ready, so that means it's going to drop at the same time, which I love when we pick books that have ebook, especially if it's in Kindle Unlimited. You can buy the paperback if you want, and the audio is available. I always love that. Now, I personally will have an arc of this book, so I'll read it pretty early on in February. So excited to talk about this book. I'll probably reread it. I'll get the audio, I'll use the credit, and I'll get the audio for it and reread it before the live show. But we are super excited to talk about this. As you know, Elsie Silver has been a author that everyone's been talking about. Flawless and Heartless was 2 of the most popular books, I feel like, last year, and I cannot wait for Powerless, which is Sloane and Jasper's story. It is a kind of childhood friends to lovers, I think. They've had a past. She is running away from her wedding to another guy, so I don't know anything other than that, but I'm super excited. I hope you join us to talk about that book. And then I have a couple read-alongs that I'm participating in. One that I'm co-hosting, which is the From Blood and Ash or Blood and Ash World read-along. We are basically taking the first 6 months of the year and reading a book a month. So our live show from Blood and Ash, which is the first book in the series, is happening on February 4th on Jess from Honest Fiction's channel. And then in February, we're going to be reading A Kingdom of Flesh and Fire, which is the second book in this series. And that live show will be on my channel. I don't remember the date, but I'll put it in the description box below. I love this series. It is such a comfort read for me. I'm so excited to dive back into this world with Poppy and Castile and everything like that. So really excited for that. Another fantasy romance read-along that I'm participating in, it is hosted by like 5 or 6 people. I know Jess from Honest Fiction, Just a Piece of Books, Sam from Sam Reads a Little. There's just a bunch of people, and I'll have them all linked down below too, but they are doing an ACOTAR read-along. So basically in February, they're taking ACOTAR, A Court of Thorns and Roses, and ACOMAF, A Court of Mist and Fury, reading those 2 books together, and then they'll have a live show at the end of February, and then in March, they'll have the other 2 in the series, and I am so excited to reread this. I don't think I've actually sat down and fully reread the series since I read it back in 2020. So I've gone back and read like 1 or 2 books individually and kind of like skipped around to my favorite parts, but I never like fully reread it from start to finish. So I'm excited about that. I'm excited to sit down, kind of devour it a little bit more. But that's a read along that I'm also going to participate in. And of course, I am continuing on with the Off Balance series. Now, my friends McKay from Oh Hates McKay, Cheyenne at That Tall Book Girl, and Caitlin from The Love Librarian are hosting this Off Balance read along series. They had the first live show at the end of January for the first 3 books in the series, and then in February, I think the middle of February, they're going to have the second live show, which is for books 4 and books 5. Now, I am invested. I've read through book 3. I decided to put Twist and Dismount on hold until February. Like, I did not want to continue right then and there. There's a lot of stuff happening. This is a very forbidden romance series. Coach athlete. She's a gymnast. She's trying to make the Olympics. At this point, she is dealing with a lot of health stuff. So I'm excited. but nervous to dive into these last 2 books because there is a lot of health related stuff that I can relate to. So I'm just like, how is this going to turn out? Also, Kova has some explaining to do. I need answers from him. I need groveling. I need Rhea to get it together. Like, I have a lot of things that I need to happen in these last 2 books for it to like make up, okay? Like, I need a lot of things from these 2 books. I'm excited. I feel like Lucia Franco can pull it off if anyone could, so I'm really excited for that one. Now, the 2 other contemporary romances I have on my TBR, because I'm gonna be mood reading a lot. I can't just all read fantasy. As much as I would love to say, yeah, I'm gonna read, I don't know, fantasy all month. There's no way I can do that. But the first one I'm really hoping comes out in February. I heard that it's coming out on Valentine's Day, and that is Saving 6 by Chloe Walsh. So you'll see in my wrap up, I'll talk about these 2 books more, but I read Binding 13 and Keeping 13 by Chloe Walsh. That duet, which it follows the same couple, it's just 2 books. Those 2 books are some of my favorite books of all time now. Devoured those books. It took me days to read them, and I was not mad about it. I listened to the audiobook while I read them. And I am fully invested in Johnny and Shannon and their friends and their family and everything like that. So Saving 6 is supposed to come out Valentine's Day, and it is Joey's story, who is Shannon's older brother, one of her older brothers. And his story, I feel like, is gonna make me cry. Like, I cried in Keeping 13, but I feel like I'm gonna sob for Joey's story, because he is just such a dynamic character, and he has so many layers to him, and I can't wait to really peel back those layers and see more of him and see more of his story. And I am just so excited. I'm so freaking excited for that one. So like I said, I really hope that one comes out. Fingers crossed. I don't know if that's like a hard date or not. I don't know. I'm just really excited. If it comes out, I'll read it. If not, I guess I'll just keep putting it on my TBR until it finally comes out. But the next book I'm going to read is Forever After All by Catherine O'Mara. I picked this book up for Christmas, I think. I treated myself when I had a couple gift cards, and the only thing I know is what the back of this book says. Basically, Elena goes into a gentleman's club ready to sell her body to get money to save her mother's life. I'm assuming her mother's going through some health stuff. She didn't expect Alexander to be there, or for him to propose a marriage of convenience instead. He has a revenge plan, and marrying him means that she's a part of that plan. So that's all I know about this. I have read Until You by Catherine O'Mara, so I'm excited to continue and read more books by her. My friend Cheyenne at That Tall Book Girl, she's going to be interviewing Catherine O'Mara on February 10th, which I'm really excited to see, like, get into her mind, ask her a couple questions in the chat. So yeah, I want to read this definitely before then. And now I'm going to get into the fantasy romances that I want to read in February. So this first one is going to come as a surprise. It's the rest of a series. So me and my friends, we did an Bonds That Tie read along last year, and we stopped after book 2. Well, I stopped after book 2, and we were like, we can't do any more. We're not feeling it. But so many people that I've talked to really love it. Specifically, Lacey from Lacey Book Lovers and Jess from Honest Fiction. They both really love this. And I've seen some TikToks of some of the other characters, like the guys, because it's a kind of a reverse harem type thing. And I'm like, you know what? I'm going to give it another try. And see. So I've read the first 2 books, and I'm pretty sure I remember everything. I might go back and reread the first book, but I have Blood Bonds, A Forced Bonds, and Tragic Bonds, which is books 3, 4, and 5. Is there 6 books? I feel like I'm missing one book. Anyway, I'm putting this series on my TBR. Now, I'm going to try and read book 3. If I do not like it after book 3, then I'm not going to continue on with the series, but I want to give it another chance because I don't always like reverse harem. But I like the characters a little bit. There's just a lot going on. So I just want to give it another try. So we're going to see how that works out. But you can let me know if you've read this and if you loved it, or you think that don't waste your time, Tori. Just leave it as is and don't continue. Let me know in the comments, please and thank you. But the next fantasy romance that I want to read is Queen of Myth and Monsters by Scarlett St. Clair. This is the second book in the Adrian and Isolde series. I read A King of Battle and Blood. Didn't really like it. Give it like 3.5 stars or something like that. 3 stars, I think I rated on Goodreads. So I have the audio through my library for this book. I picked this up at Barnes & Noble. So I'm interested in the world. I hope we get some of Adrian's point of view, because I remember that was one of my complaints, that I wanted more of his point of view. And the ending obviously left off with a cliffhanger. So I'm excited to see what this fantasy romance is. I'm going to read this pretty early on in February because I do have the audio from my library that's probably due back, I think, in the middle of February, if I'm not mistaken. So I'm excited to continue with this series, see if it gets better, because I do like Scarlett St. Clair's A Touch of Darkness series and then her Hades series. So we shall see with this one. Another series that I want to continue is this this K.A. Tucker fantasy romance series, and that is The Curse of Blood and Stone by K.A. Tucker. So this is the second book, and I have the audio through Audible. I bought the audio for some, what did I read? I think I bought it, or I used a credit or something like that. And the way that the first book was, it was kind of a wild ride. I buddy read it with Avery. I buddy read it with Avery from Avery's Romance Reads, and we had such a great time. There was a lot of twists and turns, and I don't know if this book is going to continue that momentum of how much I enjoyed it. I think I gave it 4 stars. So I don't know. This is a pretty long book. It's 400 pages. Yeah, it's a little over 400 pages, and the audio seems pretty long, so I'm going to read along and with the audio and physically read it because I have this. So I hope that I like it as much as I did the first book, but we shall see. We shall see. And the last fantasy romance that I want to get to is The Daughter of No Worlds by Carissa Broadbent. So the first book of 2023 that I read was A Serpent and Wings of Night by Carissa Broadbent, and I loved that. Now, ended on a cliffhanger. That series is not complete, but I have this first book, and I know the audios are on my Hoopla it's a trilogy, so there's 3 books, but I'm going to read the first book, see if I like it. Some people say they like this series more than the other series that she has. It's ongoing. So I'm willing to give this one a try and see how I feel about it. I want my own opinion, which series I kind of am feeling more. So, which is going to be interesting. I don't know anything about this. The female character, she's had a life of slavery, and she murdered the most powerful man in Threll. I think that's the town. She's taken under this guy's wing, an apprenticeship. I don't know. I really don't know. I'm kind of gonna go into it blind, but I personally like Carissa Broadbent's writing, so I'm excited. I'm excited to see. If you've read this trilogy, let me know. I do want to do a kind of series review on this, because a lot of people talk about the first book, but they never talk about the second and the third, if it's a good completed trilogy that you would go into. So I'm going to try it out for you guys. You can let me know if you would like that. But that is my February TBR that I have to share with you. All of the books that I want to read. Like I said, I'm going to mood read most of February. I think I'm going to try and stick to a minimum 10 books, a maximum 15 books for my TBRs from now on, because I don't want to overload myself and I want to just mood read more. I found myself at the end of January being like, oh, I got to read this. Oh, I got to read this. Oh, I got to read this. So I'm excited for that, but leave me a pink heart or a red heart emoji in the comments down below, because February is Valentine's Day. Just leave it in the comments down below. Thank you so much for watching. Make sure you like and subscribe for more content for me. As always, I hope you're living a novel life, and I will see you in my next one. Bye, guys.